So I'm going to be reading two pieces today. The first one is about eggs because my gym bro friend says that I need to eat more protein. This is called On His 18th Birthday. To step on eggshells, an egg must have exploded, willingly or not. It must have some element of violence lining its fragmentation, some deliberateness that justifies its putrid childhood scent. In this case, let's say he turned 18 today. To commemorate this, his friends smashed an egg on his head, delighting in the way yolk ran down his temple like a gunshot wound. There was no malice, but it was not right either. But his smile, it was runny and soft, a child's wobbling first attempt at a sunny side up. There's your violence. The eggshells lay on the ground pathetically. Later, I saw him step on them. It was heartbreaking how gently he rested his weight, just to see if they were all right. A love tap, if you will. Then he picked them up individually, making sure the sharp ends rested in his palm like penitence, like penance. There's your deliberateness. To step on eggshells, the eggshells should not consent. Yet, I can't help but think, just this once, they would have probably been fine with it. Just this once, no one would be breaking anything any more than it allowed. He turned 18 and an unborn embryo kissed his face. It was only right for him to press it back so gently, so gently. Thank you. The second piece I'm going to read is inspired by the fact that we have a lot of insects coming into our houses lately because it's raining all the time. So this piece is called Entomophobia. 1. For a while, I kept finding single insect wings on my toilet sink. In the morning, there'd be tiny tear-shaped gossamer on the white porcelain. I could never find the actual insect, and I didn't know what it looked like until I was scraping the bottom of a bowl of thickly overpriced green curry and found a tiny, tiny fly trapped in the sauce. My friends told me to leave the fly alone. I used my fork to try and nudge the fly out of the stickiness, watching its legs kick wildly. I snapped the wing clean in half, and I put my fork down. 2. You were 14, and you just discovered that frogs existed. You beckoned me over during lunch. There was a pond, green and overgrown. You in your pinafore, kneeling at the bank, looking like a queen. How you made a frog jump into your outstretched palm. How you held it up to me to show me. That night, you asked me if I'd love you if you were a worm. No, I said. I'd feed you to the frog. You pouted and called me a hoe. I'm making this up. I'm sorry. 2. On New Year's Eve, a bunch of honeybees decided that my window, just behind the lemongrass plant, was the perfect place to build their home. Within the 4 hours I was out, they constructed a veritable square inch of comb, enough to give anyone trypophobia. There were bees swarming everywhere, climbing up the metal frame, crawling along the side of the pots, stumbling along one another on the plates. I wanted the hot beekeeper girl from TikTok to come and save me. Or maybe the hot beekeeper guy from AO3 who would give me his number. Or more importantly, I wish they'd saved them. I wish they'd saved the bees. I know how the story ends, and so do you, and it doesn't end with anyone being saved. Instead, I damn the bees to a hell of my own making, i.e. sweaty, disgruntled rent-to-kill guy who made the bees fall dead, and with them my hopes of starting 2023 with hope and beauty instead of such negative karma. On New Year's Eve, I was a terrible host, and you told me to save the bees, and I thought of how I couldn't save them, even if I tried. 3. I'm trying to save you. I tried to save you. While I told you about my dreams and our future, you stayed curiously silent, and then changed the subject. There is an itch at the back of my throat, and there are stitches up your arm where your skin has knitted itself back together. You would say unwillingly. I'd say thankfully. What your skin can do, I cannot. What your breath sustains, I am struggling to keep alive. There is an itch at the back of my throat and in my nose, and darling, let me save you. 3. Okay, fine. If you don't want that, I'm trying to write us a happy ending. 3. I will write us a happy ending. I'm really trying. Can you hold out for a bit? 4 is the number of death. Yesterday, my friends shuffled Uno cards and picked out the 4s. There are 2 of each color, and if they're dead, at least they're dead together. He shuffled the rest and left the 4s on the table. 你要死吗? 5. Last night, a moth made its way into my room. It was a big one, at least a square inch in resting form. I watched it from the corner of my eye and remembered how you once told me. I am making this memory up as I do when it's with you, that moths are what bridge this world and the next. You haven't been showing up lately, so I left the room and I waited for the moth to leave too. It didn't. It sat on my bed on my unmade sheets. 6. How am I supposed to write this ending when I'm dragging your corpse all over the place? How am I supposed to leave myself, frog-hearted, fickle beast I am, twitching and anxiety-handed, while I follow you into a place where I don't kill every single thing I touch? How am I supposed to will myself into dreaming of you when you're the first I killed with my bare voice and bleeding hands? How am I supposed to live? 7. I didn't have to try. I folded a cloth and made the moth a bed near the window. My friend told me, handing me the 4s to lay out in a row, that we're not supposed to kill moths because it's the ancestors coming to visit. You haven't seen my room, and you never will. But here you are anyway. I'm deadly scared of insects, but here I am anyway. You stayed silent, darling, and I hated you for it, and I hate you for the silence now. But here we are. I watch the moth's feelers settle, watch it stop fluttering its wings in worry, and think of you calming the frog down and releasing it to its friends. I think of everything I am making up, because you aren't to be saved, but there are other things I can salvage. I think of the bees, trying to come home, go home, make a home, and I think about how we had a home in each other. When you leave, your door is still open in my heart, and I will let the bees inside, and I will tell the flies to spread their wings, and I will tell myself that you are here. You are here. This is happy ending enough.